The hot seat debate is the most awaited session at HICSA. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Manav Thadani as he turns up the heat in conversation with this illustrious group. We have Mr. Anil Chadha, Divisional Chief Executive, ITC Limited Hotels Division, Ms. Ranju Alex, Area Vice President, South Asia Marriott International, Mr. Sudeep Jain, Managing Director, Southwest Asia IHG, Mr. Sunjae Sharma, Managing Director, India and Southwest Asia Hyatt, and Mr. Zubin Saxena, Senior Vice President and Country Head, India, Hilton.
I believe in miracles.
You're not dancing.
Where you from? You sexy thing, sexy thing. You. I believe in miracles. Since you came along, you sexy thing.
No, Ranju, you are there.
Where did you come from, baby? How did you know?
Oh, well. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to my panelists. You know, we said we'll come and we'll sit under the photographs, and then we said we don't know who's where, right? That's okay.
Sanjay?
Manav, turns out I'm sitting under yours and you're sitting under
No,
mine.
no, it's okay. Just say
You
it's
were
okay.
supposed to sit there.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay.
Anyway, welcome to the last session of 2024 HICSA. I'm trying to figure out which year we are in. I'll start with you, Zubin, since you're the youngest on the, I had a choice to start with you or start with the virgin on this hot seat stage, which is, Sudeep, but I'll start with you.
Sure.
If I was to give you a minute to tell us what you currently do and how big is your portfolio.
Thank you, Manav. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, fellow panelists. Lovely to be here. My name is Zubin Saxena. I'm Senior Vice President and Country Head for Hilton in India. We are a portfolio of currently 26 hotels. Last hotel we opened 2 weeks ago. And about another 20 hotels in the pipeline, set to double the portfolio in the next 3 to 5 years. And our vision is to have a Hilton branded hotel across 75 markets and to triple our estate in the next 7 to 10 years in India.
7 to 10 days? Oh, no. Sorry.
No, I said years. I think, Manav, you're running too fast. It takes time.
Okay. Sunjay?
Thank you, Manav, and good to be here. Thank you for supporting this and being here for us. So thank you very much. My name is Sunjae Sharma, and I look after the Hyatt portfolio in India and Southwest Asia. We are 50 hotels as of now, and we have 50 in pipeline. And we are the oldest chain in Hyatt and growing. So we are going to be in 28 more destinations. We are currently in 17 destinations and 28 more in the coming years. Thank you for being here, and I'm happy to be here, Manav.
Mr. Chadha?
Thank you, Manav. Great to be back. Compliments to you to get the entire industry together. Your event keeps getting bigger and bigger by the day, right? So my name is Anil Chadha. I'm the Chief Executive for ITC Hotels. We run about 130 hotels across 80 destinations with about 12,000 odd keys. And really happy to be here and part of this hot seat, as you say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Manav, for having me. It's my first time here on the hot seat. So I'm Sudeep Jain. I'm the Managing Director for IHG in Southwest Asia. We are today at 50 operating hotels, and we've got 64 in the pipeline. And our ambition is to triple by 2030 in terms of a mix between operating and pipeline. And Manav, thanks again for having me here.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ranju Alex. I lead Marriott for South Asia. We are currently 160 hotels across 5 countries that I look after. And we have 70 plus hotels in the pipeline. So it's a large and diverse portfolio. As a company, we have 31 brands. But in South Asia, we have 17 I don't know how many of you have seen the Moxie, but that's our 17th brand, which has just made its beautiful debut in India. So that's our portfolio.
Great. So I'll ask questions. I like them to be kept brief so that we can go through a longer list of questions. But Ranju, I'll start with you, right? The India story. We first heard it was revenge tourism. Then we've seen a surge. It's been on a roll. Finally, we've got the higher ADRs that we've all been looking for the last 10, 15 years. The occupancies are up. How long do you think this uptrend is going to last?
I think if the government is as stable as it is today, this is a story that will last minimum a decade more. Last year when the ADRs went up through the roof, we were wondering if it's going to sustain in the industry, but it's very evident that it's sustaining and growing year on year. So I think if the political scenario remains stable, then it's not just India's decade, it is India's century for sure.
Okay. Sudeep?
I think I concur that it is at least a decade. I think the reasons are truly, and I think we've heard through a lot of people who've been talking over the last 2 days, it's the constitution of the economy, right, which is consumer-led and the growth rate. It is the constitution of the population, which is, dramatically middle class and upwardly mobile and growing, right? It is the entrance of the people into that spending and earning bracket, which are going to be consumers, which with higher disposable income will travel. Business travel is going to come back. It is a domestic-driven market at the moment, and it will continue to be a domestic-driven market. So, and I think it is the most underpenetrated market. We've heard that story. So, and for the first time, we're seeing the infrastructure is leading ahead of the hotel rooms, right? The growth in the airports, the roads, all of that. So I think those fundamentals are going to drive it. So the supply-demand imbalance, where the demand is growing faster than the supply, because we're also coming out of COVID, is going to continue for times to come.
Right. Anil, you'd like to add something more?
Very similar, actually. But I think if you look at the last, we follow the the financial quarter. If you look at the first 3 quarter results, the country is obviously on a boom, and we always estimated that the average rates will. We've never seen something like that before. Well, the occupancies are kicking in. I think India is on a great story. I agree with him that in the demand-supply cycle, at this point in time, the demand is more than the supply for the next few years. If anybody was to say, I think India's time is now, and that's why you see so much of activity around management contracts, so many signings, so much of travel, so much of tourism. So I think you're living in a good space right now. You just need to get your act together.
But aren't you worried about the guy who came and mopped the mouse, out of nowhere? He was celebrating all that stuff, and then suddenly, and that's what India was known for, right? We've had so many false starts. Is this possibly another false start? And like you said, stability is one issue, right? But there could be things that could.
What can be worse than COVID? You went all the way down. You literally had nothing left, and you came all the way up. If you look at all the announcements being done this year, the best results ever, the best occupants ever, the best average room rate ever, the best food and beverage numbers ever. You've gone through the worst. You've seen the grind. I think the efficiency of all the chains that I see, you follow the numbers of all your competitors you see. I think the kind of efficiency which is set in the last 2 to 3 years is absolutely phenomenal. I think everybody just went down back to the drawing board, looked at each and every line by line, each cost, which we probably never looked at before. There are benchmarks which have been set on GOP, there's benchmarks which have been set on EBITDAs, which has never been before.
Right. Sanjay, changing it, unless you want to answer.
Yes, so I just want to answer the first 2 questions of yours. You said India story, right? The answer lies in your question. It's the India story currently. Because whatever is happening in India is being supported by India, which has never happened before, right? So the components of infrastructure, of political, of development or whatever, all that is a part of it. But I think the answer is in the question that currently it's the India story. The business is being supported by India, and based on that, we have actually crossed our pre-COVID numbers. So that's why it is an India story. Then you said somebody comes with a hammer and hammers the mouse. I think COVID taught us how to soften the blow of the hammer. So I would just use that analogy, that COVID has taught us to soften and prepare ourselves, get our shield like a tortoise, and soften the blow of the hammer. So,
Good question, good answer. Zubin?
Yeah, Manav, I think it's a very interesting question. I don't think you can have a short answer to it, but I'll try to give one. I'll go back and I'll ask you a question, in fact, and I'll volunteer an answer and you can tell me if I'm too far off. If you go back to the year 2000, India was running a pan-India occupancy with about 50, 60,000 rooms at about 68%.
Right.
Right? 20 years down the road, where we are today, or 21 years, 23 years down the road, we finished about at the same occupancy with supply increasing 2.5 times, 250%, right? So is this run going to continue? I think it's going to be governed by demand, supply, and pricing. I think at this point in time, demand is going to be extremely strong. India is a 85% domestically driven market. I think, like to Sanjay's point, the demand is growing from within. I think that will boost new markets, new opportunities. And in terms of supply, you have hotel openings. India today is meeting or matching the supply growth in some of the other international markets like Vietnam and other places, 50,000 keys or somewhat like that. You know the numbers better. But that new supply is coming up in new markets. So I think demand. I think occupancy is going to keep at pace. So that's our view is at Hilton that we are here for the long term. Right, and my personal belief is that India is here to stay at least for the next 2 decades, if not more. So I think we are at the starting point.
Decade, century, 2 decades. Okay, so
Yeah.
we can hope to have
So that
we'll all retire happily, right? And then it's the problem of the next generation.
no, it's not going to be a
Other than
problem.
you, who is the youngest on the.
So within the long cycle of growing up, there is going to be, and that's a fact, every 5 to 7 years, there is a correction in the market.
Sure.
Be it a COVID, be it a 9/11, be it the Lehman Brothers crisis, whatever else, that will happen. So I think as smart managers, and that's what we are paid to do, we need to protect our downside when we anticipate or when we are seeing that the market is going to soften, right?
Sure.
And that's my answer.
So my next question will require to choose one word rather than multiple words. Is the growth coming from tier 1 or tier 2? You cannot say both. So I want to know, where do you think the growth is going to come from more? Not now. Put that off, please. So is that coming from tier 1 or tier 2? I'll let you go.
I'll talk for us both.
I said both is not an option. If
Both
you had
is-
to choose one. Where do you think more of that is going to come from?
Tier 2 markets.
Tier 2. Sanjay?
tier 2.
You're talking of right now or you're talking of the future?
No. Well, yeah, growth. Growth has to be slightly future, right? Where's the growth going to come from?
For us, tier 1.
Tier 1.
I think for it's tier 1 and tier 3.
Tier 3.
Tier 2.
And any particular cities that you see are really doing.
So, it's interesting. What I say tier 1 versus what someone else may think tier 1 is very different. When I say tier 1, I'm talking metros.
Of
right?
course.
Right? So that includes the, Delhi NCR, Mumbai, Hyderabad,
Yeah.
all the rest of it. So I think it is going to be tier 1. It is going to be tier 3 for us as well with the Holiday Inn and Holiday Inn Express portfolio because it's the right size for the right market. The middle class today in India is there. We've heard a lot of people saying, along the highways and Days Inn and this, that, and the other. And I think you cannot ignore that segment in India, right? So if you ask me, the volume, which means the number of hotel rooms, is going to come from the lower end tiers. The value, which is the total amount of revenues from hotels, is going to come from tier 1.
So it's interesting. We had asked this as a poll question yesterday for mainly tier 2, tier 3 cities, and the results are up there. I'm sorry, some of you may have to bend a little bit more. But yeah, it's interesting to see that some of these cities are.
And we have a hotel coming up right on top of Lucknow, which we are announcing now in the next few days.
Okay.
That's the growth.
Sorry?
That's the
Okay.
growth.
That's Lucknow.
The next question is more to some of you, right? And I'll start with Hyatt, right? All-inclusive model. Do you think there's an opportunity in India for all-inclusive model, and anyone else here who's thinking about that?
I think there is opportunity. When is the question? Because I think the mindset our mindset is such that I think we will, as a community, really enjoy an all-inclusive. It's just the place has to be right and the offering has to be right. But yes, it's an opportunity for us, for sure.
But none of you are actively looking at all-inclusive. Because I did go this year to an all-inclusive resorts, and there were quite a few Indians who were out there, and that got me thinking. They were not Indians from India. I was in Mexico, there were Indians there's a large community out there, and all the Shahs and the Patels and all of that were there. So I'm just trying to think, is that an opportunity that's a missed opportunity? And is anyone thinking
Manav, I don't know whether you can really, I'm not sure whether the time is there right now, time right to just create a hotel which is all-inclusive, but time is definitely right to create an all-inclusive offer, you know. If you follow the model of a ship.
Yes, that's what it is,
so
an all-inclusive.
Everybody. So I think when we came out of COVID, we started this package called All In or something. I can't remember the name. But that included everything except the spa and the booze. But I think probably the time has come where you just pay one price where everything is included. And I think leisure destinations, leisure hotels, no surprise pricing for the whole family. It's a terrific idea.
Right. The theme this year, Ranju, and I'll start with you since you're closest. The theme this year is F&B. Do you think there will be a time when restaurant revenue will become profitable for hotels? I mean, I know ITC does, and Anil is like, what are you talking about?
Yes,
we only make money on the restaurants, we don't make money on the rooms. But
yeah.
But Ranju, seriously, I don't know if you saw my presentation. We kind of said that most hotels do 50% of their revenues from F&B, and a large chunk is, this hotel will probably be banquets and less restaurants, but a lot of hotels do more restaurants. So 25% of your business is restaurants, right? What is Marriott doing? Do you do revenue management? What are you doing to keep that profitability? Because that's capital that is being made to put in by the owners, right? More staff needs to be hired for that part on a per square foot basis than any other part. And they're not necessarily making money, so sorry.
So you're right. I think, Manav, for the longest period of time, a restaurant in a hotel was more like an option, a dining option for an in-house guest. The focus was pretty restricted to non-residents about 10 years back. And then we realized India woke up to a lot of dining out, eating out, especially after COVID. And we realized that a lot of restaurants actually determine the positioning of a hotel today. For example, the St. Regis in Mumbai does more business in F&B than in the rooms. And you know that there are several floors of the hotel which are dedicated to restaurants, and there are several options. Of course, it has a captive audience in South Bombay, so it's easier. Can that happen? Can you recreate that in every single market? I don't think India has matured so much so in all the markets. But F&B definitely is a tool today to position the hotel right.
I think you say that the India hasn't matured because I think the Indian market is matured because they recognize good restaurants. They just don't find them in hotels.
Yes.
They find them in independent. They'll rather go out.
Yes.
So I think that's not fair to say the market is not mature.
No, I'm not saying India is not matured. I'm saying some markets in India are still not mature. Some have. Like I gave the example of a hotel in South Bombay. It is driving the numbers that it is with the restaurants in the hotel, but can we recreate a St. Regis in Bhopal?
Sure.
Maybe not. So that was what I was trying to make. Having said that, I think the one thing we are definitely open to is outsourcing these spaces to standalone restaurants, because we do realize that in a lot of markets, they have the expertise, that's their bread and butter, they have the expertise to run the show sometimes better than us. Sometimes a partnership works very well. So depending on the market, depending on what the need is, we are open to that. I think there is quite a race to be in Asia's top 50, whether it's bars, whether it's restaurants, the positioning that happens of the hotel, along with that, that also speaks for the hotel offerings.
So that's good to hear. But my problem is when I talk to a Hyatt or a Hilton and Marriott development, IIG development team, the development person will come and say, our brand standards require us to have 3 specialty restaurants or 2 specialty restaurants. And because this is positioned and because we need to position it that way, right, we need to have the following different types of restaurants out there, right? So when is that synergy going to start happening? Because honestly speaking, if you follow what's happening in Europe and the US, when a new restaurant is being built or when a new hotel is being built, you have that possibility of building the restaurant in such a manner that it can have an outside entrance and an exit along with being connected to the inside, right? So I don't see that happening. I mean, we are negotiating contracts, and the point I'm trying to make, you are the leaders. You can make that change happen, and it's time for you to communicate to the development team sitting out of corporate Washington or Chicago or wherever it is to say, guys, we need to start rethinking of how we're doing stuff in Asia, because I think it's important, because what I'm hearing from the owners, they're being made to spend a lot of capital on areas that are not working out. And it cannot just be that one flagship. We need to make it more generic. But anyone other than Anil, who I know is just waiting to go because...
So I'll give you the example, and I think a lot of you are from Delhi. So, and the example I'll give you the Crown Plaza, Gurgaon. So exactly what you said. So we opened a new restaurant in the place which had the Brazilian restaurant. So let's take a step back. Today or last year, 2023, 38% of the revenues in my region came from F&B. Of our 100% of the revenues, right? So it's a critical focus for us because that is a big portion of our revenues, right? Now, when Ranju said the market's not matured, I'm not sure that the market's not matured, right? Yeah, I could take an opposing viewpoint. If I go to a tier 2, tier 3 market, that the restaurant in that hotel is likely the best restaurant in that town and likely to drive more revenues through it as a percentage of revenues of the hotel than say, because to me, F&B doesn't mean I need to have the best sushi place or the best, new Peruvian place or the best new cuisine. It is how do I drive more revenues from my F&B operations, whether it be in banquet, whether it be in the Indian restaurant, how do I increase the APC, how do I increase the number of covers? That's the way to look at it. And that's what we've approached in, so the 2 things you mentioned in Crown Plaza, Gurgaon, that's exactly what we've done because we've got the support of the ownership. So we've changed the restaurant concept and the revenues from the restaurants gone up. And the second thing we've done is a patisserie where the entrance is from the driveway, right? Where we're saying, hey, listen, the guys from Gurgaon who want to buy bread every day are not going to come themselves. They're going to send the driver likely or someone else to go pick up the bread. And we may not want that person, or the person may not be the most comfortable going all the way into the hotel. The person can get to the bakery from the porte cochere, and that's the reason we've done that. So
first of all, I do agree. In tier 3 cities, I've been to a courtyard in Badogra or something, which is the most happening coffee shop in that city, right? Does very well. But the point I'm trying to make, that Brazilian restaurant that you're talking about in Crown Plaza in Gurgaon, right? I bet you people have not heard of it, but they've heard of Comran, or they've heard of those freestanding independent restaurants.
Agreed.
That if you have those restaurants, then why aren't you marketing them as a brand?
Right.
Why aren't you...
Sure. So we are, but it's the same thing about stabilization, right? So we really start driving the marketing engine for the rooms of the hotel, initial launch, and then once it's stabilized, right? In the sense that you've got the kinks ironed out. So we've got the kinks, the restaurant opened 6 months ago. So now that the kinks of marketing have gone out, we've seen the reviews, we've made the adjustments accordingly, and you're going to see a whole bunch of marketing coming out.
As a restaurant owner, if I waited 6 months, I would be out of business because I would have had to pay rent, I would have had to pay everything else.
I agree, and so we don't have the quote-unquote rent because, it's
well, that's the point.
So I don't think you can necessarily look at a hotel, and I know there's a lot of debate about per square inch and per square foot, but we are happy, as Ranju said, to outsource it, but the benchmark we've taken is it was yielding this and now it's yielding that, right? And it's helped reposition the hotel as well. And, and seeing that that's driven the revenues, the other F&B outlets of the hotel are also being now invested in as a consequence. So I think you'll see the massive uplift of that. Now, also go back to the example you gave, Comran versus, let's say, Kansa. The restaurant I'm talking about is Kansa. Comran's 100% of the revenues are dependent on marketing that restaurant, right? So the only choice they've got to say, if they've got X $1,000 to spend on marketing, they will spend X $1,000 on the restaurant. At the hotel, we've got to make a choice. When I've got X thousand dollars to spend on marketing, how much of that do I do it on the rooms? How much do I do it in the F&B? How much do I do it on the spa? How much do I do for employer branding? So those are the choices I got to make, which a standalone restaurant may or may not need to make. So hence, the effort which you'll see from the standalone restaurant in terms of marketing will always be much higher.
Manav, I have a point on that. India Inc. F&B is 45% of the Indian hospitality industry P&L, 40 to 45%. Right? So there is a key area of opportunity there. There's a key area of growth. Now F&B, we have to slice it into different pieces. F&B is not just about standalone restaurants. F&B is also about meeting and banqueting. F&B is also about in-room dining. F&B is also about putting cloud kitchens in underutilized kitchens in the hotel. So it's a key focus area for us at Hilton. We are working a lot around this space. We are very open-minded about putting in the right formats, including some of the names that you mentioned and others, into the right hotels at the right markets. It's a fact, it's a piece of trivia. The market which has the highest, and I picked it up a few years ago, and this was a learning for me during the COVID period when there was no revenues in our hotels. The highest selling market in India for Kentucky Fried Kitchen was Ranchi. So if we are saying that there are certain markets, I think that the level of F&B acceptance in India generally has far evolved. And as an international hotel company which believes firmly in growing its P&L and in a market like India has to be relevant, I think we are very open-minded. It has to be the way to go because those standalone restaurants or those kind of concepts are really very innovative, right? And either, of course, there has to be a focus at the brand level to grow those restaurants as part of your own outlets and your own estate, and where you cannot do it or where you think a third-party F&B operator can come in and add more value, yes, why not? Let's be open-minded.
It's two things, not just third-party outsourcing, but I think also from a design construction point of view, right in the beginning, and that's the point I'm trying to make, going forward, we can't change the buildings that we have. But I think going forward, we should be smarter about the offerings because clearly the trend has moved towards more freestanding, independent restaurants, and the design, the technical services team have to be sensitive that in some markets, perhaps, one good restaurant with multi-cuisines is just good enough. But I'll let Anil, he's the F&B.
I have a little different view on this. I believe that, for the last 10 years, everybody has been talking about RevPAR, heads on beds, and things like that, right? 5 years back, we were sitting on a similar stage and we spoke about outdoor catering and somebody said, oh, how much money do you make out of that? Today, everybody is buying for that IPL business, right? Everybody wanted to do G20 catering. See, I think F&B is a lot about creativity, commitment, right? And which has to come in from the principal organization. It's very easy to borrow concepts. It's very difficult to create concepts, right? If I give you one simple example, now everybody talks about, you said about making a specialty restaurant. Nobody knows what specialty restaurant. It's just specialty restaurant. What works in that market? I don't believe in that. Our company doesn't believe in that. I think what we believe in is creating a concept. Bukhara this year finishes 45 years. It's a great pride for India, right? A restaurant which has survived 45 years. Many came, many said we'll get demolished. It did not happen. But remember, this was somebody who conceptualized the open kitchen concept 45 years back. When everybody was in fine dining, somebody thought about casual dining. He removed the tablecloths and got into stone floors and food without cutlery and things like that. Then came Dampukht. Okay, she spoke about Asia's top 50. Yes, of course, you want to be there. It's a matter of great pride that you're there. We opened Avartan 7 years back in Chennai. We took it to Calcutta. We took it to Mumbai. We're soon taking it to Delhi. We are bringing it to Colombo. It's a homegrown product, made in India by Indians for the world. You got to take global. You got to take Indian cuisine globally, and that's what you're here for.
Amit, sorry, Mr. Chadha, what I'm saying is that I think you're the smartest CEO on the stage. You have outsourced your rooms to Marriott Bonvoy to fill up, and you're focusing on your core competency.
But as a reminder, she said about outsourcing. Your partner sitting right here and she's sitting outside.
आपने room business outsource कर दिया है, so the rooms are being taken care of.
Not all.
I know, but maybe there's something to be done, after this. But and you just focus on the F&B because
Let's have a side chat on it.
And I must add on to her previous answer. Please remember, there are hotels, there are destinations. If you look at what happened with us opening ITC Kohinoor in Hyderabad, we opened with 4 restaurants, Manav. They all went through a flying start first day, first show. Okay, and the demand was so high, we opened the 5th one.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
we opened ITC Grand Chola with 10 F&B restaurants. We opened IDC Narmada with 4 food and beverage restaurants. We take IDC hotels to Colombo, our first opening on 25th April, with the best brands.
No, there are people who want to just be with ITC because of the food. So I know like I said, you are the best, smartest CEO because you have outsourced the rooms part of the business to someone else. But Sunjae, you want to add anything? Because
Yes.
you've had some great runs with F&B as well.
Yeah. So I think, F&B is very, very dear to us, and the process starts even before we do anything. So I think we need to be honest to our feasibility reports and see what's happening there, and look at it's not that it is the feasibility report which has to take over the egos of various parties here, and we have to look at what the destination requires and what in that hotel, whatever brand it can be, what are the real or right F&B outlets which should be put in there. Now, as Hyatt, if you look at it, we do not do this with the technical design or design team. This is done by a specialized, specific food and beverage team from the very beginning. And this is concept oriented. We look at the destination, we look at the client profile, we look at the local populace, because we believe that, from the very beginning, for us, the local population of the destination is far more important to us to put the right offering in the hotel, because that's very impactful. Now, you spoke about, cost driven, or owners are really, concerned about the cost. Yes, rightly so. But when you look at it, if you focus on the food and beverage revenues, don't focus it on in an isolated way by focusing only on the revenues. Look at the impact it has on the hotel itself. Sometimes we say, okay, for my room guests, I need to have this. Now, room guests is a captive audience. How do you get the best return on your restaurant is by attracting the local clientele or walk-ins to the F&B place. We need to design concepts in that particular way, so that you have all your Delhi walas, Chennai walas, Bangalore walas owning that restaurant. Now, if you look at Hyatt, several examples. You look at Hyatt Regency Delhi. You look at a TK's. You look at a La Piazza. Since when? You look at a China kitchen. You look at a China house. You look at I'll describe a concept which we did in a place which is totally vegetarian, right? Ahmedabad. It is significantly vegetarian. We felt that there was a gap to get a restaurant like a TK's into Ahmedabad. And today, if you go to that restaurant is full, and it's a non-vegetarian restaurant in a city like Ahmedabad. And you have the best spend in that restaurant. So it's if we can focus on the revenues on the restaurant, the cost takes care of itself. So I think we need to change the mindset a bit. But it starts from the feasibility report. What does the feasibility report says? What does the data say? And what your F&B team is putting in there. That's why we have a specific food and beverage team who does the concepts. We don't leave it to the designers. And we are involved right to the end. So I think we need to look at it in a holistic way and not just look at isolation that, okay, F&B, cost. Look at what the impact, the energy which food and beverage creates in a hotel to make it the best hotel or give it the right positioning. There are several examples of it with Hyatt. If you look at Hyatt, owners, that's a preferred thing which the owners do with us, right? So that's something which really happens. Going forward, I think everybody needs to up their game. India has kind of changed from a food and beverage perspective. So many restaurants, standalone restaurants coming. It's also risk and rewards, right? You put up a standalone restaurant, it may not do well. You lose all your money. However, if the same restaurant was in a hotel, you at least get the hotel clientele. So risk and rewards as well. Not to that large extent, but still. Going forward, I don't know about outsourcing, but I for sure think collaboration is a great way to go ahead with some of these chefs who are coming up in India and overseas. And we use their expertise, we collaborate with them, It's about collaboration. It's not about giving them away and saying, okay, this is the space at the hotel, take it, do whatever you want, my headache is gone. No. Let's look at how we can collaborate, how we can learn, how we can develop this further.
I agree with you, and I also disagree with you, because I think a lot of the restaurants that are being talked about, if those restaurants were today freestanding restaurants, and you had to pay rent, and you had to pay utility bills, you had to pay salaries, you had to pay everything, they would fail. And that's the point I'm trying to make, because owners are paying for the real estate. That real estate, if it was not used, perhaps could go towards rooms, it could perhaps go towards rental income and so forth. And I think we need to look at the overall picture. There'll always be success stories. There'll be very few Bukharas, there'll be very few TKs, there'll be very few of those, right?
But Manav, then you have to keep reinventing yourself.
Sorry.
It's something which did not work, then you need to get back. And the young generation of chefs today that you are seeing today, they are very different, they are damn creative. They have traveled much more than the previous generation. The quality that they are producing, the plating that they are doing, the knowledge about the ingredients, sourcing is of a far high level. If you can just support, encourage, to get them all together and give them what they want as a playground, believe you me, they can do wonders. But we believe that if a restaurant does not work for you, shut it off. Let's get something else going. That's how it is.
So, Manav, what's interesting, I think...
You're all jumping on me now.
Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
No. So I think a lot of the mindset and what...
I'm the freestanding guy, right?
You're going to be on the hotter seat.
Right. So I'm already wearing red, I can't bleed anymore. So.
No, we can give you hot pink.
But how many freestandings have survived
let's not talk about hot pink right now.
No, but I think there's an inherent bias in the conversation we've been having up on F&B, because what I'm hearing from people are about 5-star hotels in tier 1 cities. If you go back to the answer which you asked people, where is the growth coming from, and I'm at tier 2. So, and I'm picking Zubin as an example, right? What choices you make as an F&B in doing a Waldorf in Jaipur versus what you do, as you said, Hilton Doubletree, or a Hilton which you're opening, a Hilton Garden Inn in Lucknow, right? Is completely different. You can't put a Bukhara in the Hilton in Lucknow. I don't think so, right? Because it's going to be prohibitive, right? So why are we only concentrating on doing outsourced, non-outsourced in a hotel which has got 5 restaurants? And I'll give you the example. I'm picking that because in the Holiday Inn Express, right? Food and beverage is outsourced. We don't even have much F&B. It is all rooms-driven market, right? So and the majority of the people said the growth is going to come in a tier 2 city, right? So if you go to the tier 2 city, are you going to make the same F&B choices of saying, I'm going to have my sushi restaurant there, and I'm going to have the Bukhara there, and I'm going to have the TKs there? I don't think you'll probably get the raw lamb chops that you have in TKs in that town.
But
right?
those lamb chops are available in other places.
I agree. I'm saying tier 2, right?
Yeah,
so you cannot look at a generic answer taking from Delhi, Bombay, Hyderabad, Chennai.
Lucknow, Jaipur, all of these cities will be there in the next 2 years.
When you go to a Lucknow, and there I would agree with Ranju that the market on F&B may not be as evolved, where I will say I'm going to have a sushi bar there.
Trust me, if I was going to Lucknow, I'll go for my tunda kebabs. I don't need a hotel or a restaurant. I'll go roadside.
I agree, but so then, but as a hotelier, right, I do have to cater to that guest who is going to stay in that room and saying, I may not have the time to go to, go get the kebabs in old Lucknow. So I know you're from Lucknow, maybe wrong choice of city, right? But my, the answer is very different.
I have a point here.
Zubin, I'm going to change the subject and get out of F&B.
My only limited point here is, I respect your views, but there is data out there which suggests that the level of innovation in F&B or level of F&B innovation in tier 2 and tier 3 markets, some of them is very high.
I agree, but I think it goes back to, one of the presentation, which is the highest number cuisine is Asian, then Italian, and then Indian. And then in the tier 2, 3 cities, if you look at that same graph, I think it'll be highly concentrated on that, but the Indian will take over the Asian and Italian any day, right? So if today, and if you ask me, do the feasibility, or if we go to Hotelivate to do the feasibility analysis and say, hey, you want to, do a specialty restaurant in my tier 3 city, can you tell me what cuisine is the best cuisine to have in there? I can virtually guarantee with 80% confidence the answer will be Asian, Italian, Indian.
I'm not talking about the type of cuisine. I'm just saying, why do we need to even do it?
I agree. I'm saying because in that tier 2, tier 3 city, maybe the Italian or the Asian you'll get at the hotel will be of a higher standard than what you may get outside in the market.
Zubin, let's change the thing. Let's talk about technology, right? You're the youngest among us, so hopefully you... technology trends keep changing. They're coming and they're going. Brands are loving it, right? Not necessarily investing into it, right? All of this is coming at the cost of owners, right? In the old days, sorry, Ranju, I'm going to pick on this hotel, right? In the old days, if I wanted to switch off my light in my room, it was a switch. Today, I have to go and I have a whole bunch of things which I have to press. And particularly if you're staying in this hotel also, right? Curtains are opening. I mean, we are investing so much into that technology. Do we really need it? Right? So what are your thoughts on it? And has it kind of reduced service levels in any way?
I think it's not about reducing. I think it is, if anything, enhanced in many places service levels. I think technology is very necessary for us also in an era where we are getting very serious about sustainability. Technology cannot be viewed as a one-lane road, which means switching on gadgets and consuming more power. Technology also at the same time is about putting in smart systems which automatically shut off areas or machines or other areas of the guest room, lights and whatever else, other places, so many more, when they are not in use. So I think it is important that we continue to evolve as hotels on our technology aspects. And again, technology from a guest point of view always does not also have to be, or from a hotel owner point of view, doesn't always have to cost all that much. I mean, we have a platform called HICSA, where you can pretty much put in as a guest, any of your requests onto a WhatsApp platform, and it will come back to you with an answer right away. Right? So I think it is the smart use of technology. Technology does not always equate to high cost. And I think technology, my view is, in the long run, will yield efficiencies in our business.
Right. Anyone else want to go at it?
So I'd like to add, if you look at, you mentioned the owners paying for the technology, right? If I look at the 100% cost power of the technology, right, it's not in the switches, right? The 80-20 on that is the PMS, the revenue management systems, probably the consumer systems, the enhancement. It's what the consumer may not see, right? If I look at the total cost which someone spends on technology in a hotel, right? And I think that is continuing to evolve and change and has got a half-life of 6 months, right? So the investments in technology which are going to go in from the owner's side into hotels is going to be on there. The light switches and so on is probably a rounding error in that bar, right? Right?
It keeps you up at night, though.
I agree, but I'm saying, as I said, it's the 80-20 on that
Right.
On that principle. I agree from a guest standpoint. You want to have the latest and greatest, and saying this is the showiest thing as you go up the scale. But at the end of the day, you want to keep it as simple as possible. So I don't need a manual to read to figure it out.
Sanjay,
I think
sorry.
in my opinion,
Yeah, of
Manav,
course.
I think technology is a subject we all speak about, like sustainability. Sometimes fashionable, sometimes something we just speak about, we don't understand too much. But I think it's something that is as good or as bad as you make it out to be. So whilst we say, and I was also a part of the struggling community with those lights yesterday and those switches in the room, I had to put on my specs to actually see those. However, for me to sit on my bed and plug my phone to the Chromecast of the TV and watch my OTT series that I was watching at home day before yesterday, that is a joy as well, right? Technology's got you that, and technology's got you this as well. I think the more we use it, the more comfortable we get with it. Whoever thought that we would stop watching TV channels? Whoever thought that we would be sitting in an aircraft watching our series on our phones? So it's got its own joys, it's got its own pains, but I think it's just a matter of getting used to it, and for hotels to be sensitive to what the timing of that particular aspect in our countries and who's the target audience. If you today ask me to go to a hotel and do a kiosk check-in, I don't think I like it even today.
Sure.
I don't like it when I go to an airport at the US and you take out your own baggage tag and you're struggling with it. I don't like it. I like somebody to take my bag and put it on the belt, to negotiate with the person if you have a window seat instead of an aisle seat and all of that.
Sure.
So I think it's just a matter of how comfortable one gets with technology. It's a completely unexplored and a lot of explored areas. I think we are pretty blinded and pretty open to it as well. So I think it's a wait and watch game where this takes us finally. I think all of us are getting used to it. Zubin's the youngest, as you say, so I think it'll be important to
No, I have a point here.
to understand
His generation loves it.
No,
Yeah,
well,
I know.
So, I have a quick point made to, and a fact again. So if you were to plot the number of guests who come in and look at 300 of your available cable TV channels you're running in your hotels, the answer will probably be less than 10%, right? I think most of them just look at a few news channels. By the way, the cost of that set-top box a month goes anywhere from 300 rupees to 500 rupees. Now, when 90% of your customers are plugging up or their Netflix from their phone onto the screen, why are we incurring that additional cost? I think as hoteliers, and clearly it's our focus at Hilton to yield those efficiencies, right? We need to be getting into, and again, you're using technology. I think we need to advance ourselves. It's a reality of our life, right? And adding new technology always should not mean that you also keep the redundancies alive in your systems. I think we have to constantly innovate. We don't have a choice, And what that means is that 1 lakh rupees for a 200-room hotel at 500 rupees a box, right, means 12 lakh rupees a year. And for a hotel owner who's running a hotel which is 100 keys, by the way, that's going directly into his bottom line. So that's how we need to look at operators.
Sunjae, you want to add something?
Yeah, sure, Manav. I think technology is a tool which is at our discretion, how much to use, how much not to use. It also depends on destinations, how much you want to use technology there, right? The other thing I think as operators, the most important part about, we blame technology, but we need to train ourselves that when we do the room orientation, are we explaining the technology well? We are faulting the technology there, but I think the major issue lies that how much are we making a guest aware of what is at his discretion and how he uses it. I'm sure that you're sitting on your bed and you would like the technology, you're reading a book. You don't want to get up and switch off that light. You want that switch right next to you. You want to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. You don't want to go to the bathroom and then switch on the light. So that's what technology can do. But it's up to us how we use the technology. It's a resource for us. It's up to us how we decide to use it. But we need, as operators, we need to take the onus again, how we explain it to our guests and how do we do our room orientations.
Right.
Anil, it should not challenge you in any manner. You may not like it, I may not like it. We've traveled and you say you get very irritated with all this gizmos and things like that. I'll give you a small example. When we opened our hotel in Chennai a couple of years back, we launched this entire room control on an iPad. And people went, wow, because the entire room could be controlled with that iPad. Okay, you could do the light, you could do the TV, and the best part was sit on your bed, and if the room service order taker came, you could open the door sitting on your bed. So that's that kind of stuff also available. But it really depends on, how do you explain this to guests, how do you use it. But I think it's going to stay there. Today you have a switch on that iPad which says good night. You just press that, all the lights, all the TV's gone.
That's all I was looking for, that one line.
That's right.
If
That's
I
it.
if I can find it.
That's
But,
one line.
I'm going to stick with you, Anil. Change of, yes, we finish F&B, let's finish technology, let's talk about a little bit. ITC hotels, Welcome Hotels, Fortune, Mementos, Story. Which one? Which one of these is going to be the main focus, the growth story ahead?
I think focus is on all brands.
No, you can't say
No,
that.
I'll tell you. I know you and I have the
Because we
same
only
discussion
have,
every
we have
time.
very limited time. So
Huh?
you have to we have very limited time. You have to
I know,
choose one.
but I have to, please allow me to answer it, because I can't say that I'm only going to focus on story, right? Because if you got large box hotels coming on to you, I can't say I'm not going to do
No,
it.
but which is the one which you're most bullish on?
I'm bullish on all. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you.
gonna move to the
I'll
next
tell you.
panel.
No, don't move. Give me an opportunity. For many years, we never launched a luxury brand. All right, for many years, we only continued with ITC as a luxury brand, right? The first hotel opened as Mementos in Udaipur, right? We went into this red hot market, and everybody said that you're competing with the biggest players in town. Said no problem. We have a Nod on the Lake, 15 kilometers away. It's been a roaring success. Second Mementos opened up in Jaipur. Third Mementos opened up in 1.5 years in Rishikesh. So we're pretty bullish on that front. Stories had a great success. We signed 12 stories since we last spoke, about 1.5 years back. We launched the brand, opened 4th, just about a week back in Solon. There's no problem. Fortune is now crossed 50. Welcome Hotels, we opened the 25th Welcome Hotel in Belgavi next month.
Now you're pitching for your brands.
No, but I have to, because there is, you have a solution available for every market. Please understand that. One size does not fit all. So you tell us what you want and we can create that for you.
Sure.
Including the F&B space.
Sure. Ranju, are you bringing Marriott Homes anytime soon?
Homes and villas we already have.
In India?
In India,
Signed
yes.
up?
So it's more of a platform partnership that we have for homes and villas. We're getting residences now into India. Moxie has just come. The amount of interest that Moxie has generated has been tremendous. But to answer your question, there continues to be this entire loyalty and demand for the JW brand, especially in the resorts, Manav. I think we are going gung-ho there.
Sure. Sudeep, Voco, Wignet, Kimpton, if we're just sticking to these three, what do you think is the future? And why not focus first on more getting an Intercontinental in or a Holiday Inn? Why this launch into these new brands?
So they swim in different lanes, right? So, so it depends on which swimming pool you're going to get in which room lanes. So if you want a lifestyle brand, Kimpton is going to be it, not the Intercon, right? If you want a traditional luxury brand, it's going to be Intercon, not a Kimpton or Vignette. If you want soft branding, you got the Vignette. Boco is, more flexible, conversion-oriented. We opened the first one on the 1st of April. We should have 5 in the next 12 to 18 months all signed up. So I think it's not a choice. It is dependent on the opportunity and what fits the right opportunity. So I think if I stick to those 3 brands, they're completely different and completely distinct, and what would fit a Kimpton may not fit a Intercon. What fits a Vignette will not fit a Kimpton or Intercon. What fits a Boco will not fit either one of the other 3 brands also. So I think that's quite differentiated.
Zubin, what, 1 month at the job, 2 months at the job?
Yeah, just under 3.
Sorry?
Just under 3, time flies.
Right, just
Going
under
fast.
3, right?
3.
3. How many hotels have you signed since you've...
A hotel opened or a hotel signed in each and every 1 month in the last 3 months.
Perfect.
And we will continue to
So by the time
exceed that pace, by the way, through the rest of the year. So sign the
So
third
by the time
contract.
Chris is here next year, hopefully at HICSA, we would have had 12 new hotel openings and at least 12 new signings.
We will get there, but we are looking at anywhere between, at this point, around
It's
6.
being recorded by the
Yeah,
Hilton TV.
That's fine. We'll deliver. We've around 4 to 6 hotel openings this year. So we opened one DoubleTree in Whitefield, Bengaluru, about 180 keys. The next hotel opening will be the Hilton in Kathmandu, right? Again, 200 plus keys. Then we are looking at opening a hotel in
we
Hyderabad.
won't go through the list. But
You just asked me a question. I'm giving a simple answer.
Right. Sanjay, anything on Hyatt, Ziva, or one of these Zilara brands, or not yet? We're just going to continue focusing on your core brands?
So you talk about brands, we talk about guests, right?
Right.
So we are saying that if our guests are going to a destination, we see what is the brand which fits there and what is the guest expecting. That's how we answer that question of yours. Ziva, Zilara, yes, if there is an opportunity, if the place is right and we see the market is matured, for sure. And I think it has potential and has opportunity in India.
Right.
For sure.
I'm going to ask the audience to take their phones out, and we're going to do a rapid round of questions, and we'll get the audience also to put their responses back after we've asked the questions to see if we are all in sync, right? Just wanted to have some fun. It is the hot seat. Ranju, and now, guys, you have to choose one of the other. You can't have it both ways, right? So we'll start with the first. Do vote. If you have the phones, please go to the audience poll, and you can do the polling out there. Ranju, asset light or asset right?
Asset light.
Asset light.
Everyone is
Asset right.
everyone is asset light.
Yeah,
Anyone
he
else?
said asset,
Asset right.
He said right.
Okay, so we have one person who said asset right. I don't know if we can put it up, but no one's voting. Maybe you guys will get lucky. Well, there it is. Asset light is it reflects the people on the stage, right? The next one, Zubin, a bad online review or a negative word of mouth reputation? You have to choose one.
The latter.
And I'm going to ask all of you the same thing, right?
Which one would we prefer?
Yeah, what do you, what?
Which one do you
hopefully don't want either.
So what's the question? So amongst the two,
I wouldn't
so what's
prefer either, by the
what's
way.
the question?
So the question is, would you rather get a bad online review or a negative word of mouth reputation?
I think the second one has much deeper connotation for a hotel business, for any business. Bad online review is, of course, it's not a good thing to have either, because, but you will get so many. A bad word of mouth review means, to me, that someone has taken the trouble to articulate in their minds how poor something has been, and then taken the trouble to communicate that to someone else. That's far more damaging. So that's my response.
Okay. Sanjay?
I think word of mouth, because the person who's giving that cares for you.
Right.
And he says, I love you, please do this, and I care for you so that you can improve.
Right. Anil?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth? Word of mouth?
Because we can't react to that. You don't
Right.
know. Online, you can react and control.
Right. Ranju?
Online because it has a far greater outreach.
Right.
In today's
Before
world.
we shift, look, can you put the old one back? Look, it changed, by the way. The asset right and asset light answers changed from the audience while you guys were doing this. So more people actually are, saying asset right is the way to go rather than asset light. So can we put the next one up, which we just voted on? So negative word of mouth is definitely something. And I think, Zubin, you added a lot to it, so therefore got the audience to think about it. We're just asking you the question. We don't need the... the next one is overbooking or underbooking rooms?
Overbooking.
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 Overbooking, okay. I think, I don't know why I have that, but... right?
You mean what's worse, overbooking or what's...
Overbooking or underbooking? Okay, this one is interesting. I'm going to skip one, so I'm going to ask the other one. Would you rather have a luxurious spa or a top-notch restaurant?
Both.
No, you can only choose one. Anil. We only have limited space. Anyone?
Restaurant.
Restaurant.
I agree. Restaurant.
It's always a restaurant?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know if the audience believes in overbooking, underbooking, that top-notch restaurants. So everyone believes that. Okay, this one is interesting. I'm trying to see who to start with. Sunjae, top line or bottom line?
What do you consider as bottom line and what do you consider as top line?
Okay, EBITDA, GOP margin. How
I
about
think
that?
EBITDA is a derivative of the top line.
I just asked you.
Top line.
Top line, bottom line.
Top line.
Top line,
Bottom line.
Bottom line.
Bottom line.
bottom line. I would like to see the audience, whether they want the top line from the operators or do they want the bottom line from the operators.
Well, the assumption is you're managing the bottom line well.
I'm just letting you know what the audience is saying, right? They're not interested in the top line. They want
What
the
is the audience
profits. They want the bottom line.
38, you can say.
I can't see.
Right. So 63% of the people think that the bottom line is more important. I have another one. High occupancy rates or high average daily rates?
ADR.
ADR?
ADR, completely.
Anyone else has a different
Yeah,
opinion?
ADR. Average rates or occupancy, Anil?
Average-
RevPAR.
RevPAR nahi ho sakta, so you're being very smart.
So you're saying
So
one.
that is why you're the smartest. You've outsourced the room, you've got the restaurant running. You're in a cool zone, Anil. You're like really flying today.
Difficult, I don't know.
Okay.
Because we only focus on RevPAR, so I say RevPAR, but
Right.
occupancy, yes, because unless you fill it up, it's not going to work out.
Right. Can we have that one up and see what the audience has to say? ADR. So ADR is slightly ahead of everyone else. Finally, repeat customers or new customers? Zubin?
Repeat customers.
Repeat customers.
I won't answer either or because I think it's both are very important.
Yeah.
No, I know.
But again,
but
he will say one
again,
answer.
that is like saying RevPAR,
It's like choosing one of your child and say, okay, you are better.
No, there are no children involved here. If you were treating all children in a hotel, the industry will be booming now by now.
That's why it is.
They're all the owners are feeling orphaned right now. So I'm just asking, again, repeat customers or new customers? You have to choose one.
I would say repeat because the new gets converted into a repeat again and again, and you get loads and loads more. Your battle is won.
Right.
Repeat.
Repeat.
Tough one, but I think I'll go for new customers.
New customers, because you have bigger hotels. That would be interesting. Let's see. So ADR won there, which was fine. That's what the repeat customers is. Everyone wants, repeat customers to come back. So great. I don't have any other questions. If you guys want to throw a question at me, I'm happy. Otherwise, happy to call it a day and move on to what the audience is here ready to see the new the GM of the Year awards. But
That's now?
That's immediately after this. But
Any questions for him?
I know you wanted to ask one.
No, I have one. I have a compliment for you because I saw your dance moves this morning on the Hotelivate, and I said last time on stage that you are the Karan Johar of the film industry. You're working on it. You've moved. You've done better now. The dancing steps were very good yesterday. So you're kind of getting there, all right? The second is a question, I don't know, because we were discussing this. The nation wants to know, okay, what do you do with all the money you make at HICSA?
Also, how much? Also, how much?
And how much?
How
much you can't disclose?
We have the survey which says, can you tell us your GOP on it?
Because Manav has this beautiful
can you
way
tell
of
us the
reaching out to every hotel company, every hotelier he knows. He knows exactly what's happening in the company.
Top line or
Who's
bottom
moving
line?
in where? Whom does he want to move from where to where? So, so that's my question on behalf of all these guys. I'm feeling a bit shy.
I'm using the money to open restaurants so that one day can come and save your jobs.
But thank you, Manav. This is always an interesting
Thank you
session
so
to come
much.
back to. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Zubin, well done, man.
Please do stay on. We have the new hotel, the GM's.
Come, you were in the center.
You come. No, you're in the center.
We can put Ranju in
We
the
have to
center.
put Karan Johar in the center.
Yeah, I know.
We also have Sridevi.
I won the next movie.
Okay.
Also, actually, sorry, there's a photograph on. One more question, Manav, if you want to know that there are these door prizes you keep giving. What about stage prizes?